Headliner Nation, there are so many different ways that you can rank players. Let's say quarterbacks, for instance. Maybe you rank Patrick Mahomes number one because he's just the best quarterback in the league. Maybe you rank Lamar Jackson number one because he's the most exciting to watch. Heck, Russell Wilson could be number one for you because he's the most reliable and steady. Maybe Gardner Minshew is number one for you because he's most likely to win a dance-off in a 1970s disco before snorting a line off a stripper. Whatever it may be, for this video, we're just going to rank quarterbacks and tight ends for week 5 of the fantasy football season. What's up, Headliner Nation? Kyle coming to you from the Draft.com studios. Talking about quarterbacks and tight ends in this episode. Double dipping a little bit for you. Now, last week when I did 3 positions, I put on the helmet and I let it flow through the episode. Not going to do quite the same thing this time, but we are going to run through it rather quickly. You've got a lot of decisions to make before you set lineups on Sunday. So before we get into that information, just again, a quick update on where I currently stand in Fantasy Pros accuracy rankings. Right now, looking good. Very excited for where I'm at. Number 38 overall for all positions. And then for quarterback, 48 overall. And then for tight end, number 2 overall. That's out of 153 people. So if this is where you need help this week, whether it be at tight end or quarterback, then you have come to the right place. So let's get into it. Let's jump into it. Quarterbacks and tight ends, top 20 for each position. Number 1 overall for me at quarterback this week, Patrick Mahomes. He's back at home. He had no touchdowns last week against the Detroit Lions. However, they're going to bounce back this week. You're not going to keep Patrick Mahomes down for 2 straight weeks. Also, he could be getting Tyreek Hill, his number 1 weapon, back this week. That could be a lot of good for him. Damian Williams, still questionable. However, he could end up playing this week. Could also be good for Patrick Mahomes. Deshaun Watson at number 2. Atlanta giving up almost 20 points per game to quarterbacks right now. Barely missed Hopkins and Fuller last week for deep TD. So this offense could get rolling soon. And if they do, it could end up being this week. Tom Brady is going up against Washington, who's giving up 21 points per game to opposing quarterbacks right now. Look for him to bounce back this week after a tough matchup in Buffalo last week. And this offense could look to put some of those naysayers to bed about the offense issues that really aren't there. A lot of people ragging on that New England offense last week, trying to quiet them this week. Lamar Jackson, Pittsburgh really crushed Andy Dalton and the Bengals last week. But maybe this is the week that we really see that rushing upside for Lamar Jackson. Some more designed running plays for Lamar Jackson this week to get away from the offensive or defensive line a little bit quicker, and maybe some more scrambling from him on the ground as well. So even if he has a tough time through the air, he could really add some yards on the ground this week. Matt Ryan in a potential shootout against Houston. The upside hasn't been there this year, but he's still a top 10 fantasy quarterback. He will do well for you this week. Jameis Winston in the last 2 games, 765 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Saints are giving up the second most points to quarterbacks right now. This is a match made in heaven for Jameis Winston. Big upside this week. Carson Wentz in a tough matchup. He has a little bit of a limited upside here, so don't expect nearly the ceiling of some of the guys that are up above him, but he only has 2 interceptions this year. He's taking care of the football. That's what matters. Dak Prescott, potential for a defensive game? Possibly. Packers and Dallas could go either way. The Eagles were able to get to the Packers defense last week. Can Dallas do the same thing this week? Is the Packers defense overrated, or are they going to go into Dallas and really try to take care of business there? Kyler Murray at number 9. Mason Rudolph looked really good against the Bengals last week. Murray could have lots of upside in this game if he can take some of that to the next level. He's going to be throwing it a little bit more than what Rudolph did last week, so he obviously has a lot of upside. Jacoby Brissett also has a ton of upside this week. Kansas City giving up almost 20 points per game to opposing quarterbacks right now. He's likely going to be playing from behind, and if you don't know it, he's tied for the league lead in touchdown passes. He's doing a great job of replacing Andrew Luck, which a lot of people didn't think he'd be able to do. Andy Dalton at number 11 could have a huge bounce back week this week. Don't set him just because of how bad they looked last week. This is a poor Cardinals defense. If there are lots of volume for him this week because the Bengals cannot stop Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, you could see a game with a ton of passing attempts that could lead to a ton of fantasy points. Aaron Rodgers at number 12. Dallas is giving up the 5th fewest points to opposing quarterbacks right now, and he has no Devontae Adams this week. Some of that ceiling is missing. That's why I got him at 12. Maybe you'll be interested in seeing Chase Daniel at 13. I'm a lot higher on him this week than a lot of other people. The Raiders are giving up over 20 points per game to opposing quarterbacks right now, and he actually looked pretty good last week against a Minnesota defense that is kind of tough. So I've got him bumped up there as a high-end quarterback too. Gardner Minshew does not have any touchdowns in his last 3 games. He looks good. He's taking care of the football. He hasn't been overly exciting other than he's Gardner Minshew and he's always exciting, but his play on the field in terms of upside for fantasy football owners hasn't really been a guy that you're like, absolutely, I got to start him every single week, but he is a safe play. Very safe play. That's why you start Gardner Minshew. Baker Mayfield coming in at 15. Best game of the year last week. Looked really well. That offense is starting to roll. This is a team that faced Winston, Dalton, and Rudolph so far. So is the defense legit? Can they stop Baker Mayfield? San Francisco could end up having a lot on their hands here pretty soon. Kirk Cousins. Okay, what are we going to do with Kirk Cousins? Do they force feed the football to Stephon Diggs this week? Try to get him happy? Do they open up the passing game at all? This is a good matchup to do it. Kyle Allen at 17. He's got a completion percentage over 70% right now. Has been one of the best completion percentages the last 2 weeks. Jacksonville giving up almost 20 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Mason Rudolph, I love the way this offense looked last week. If they do the same thing this week where they pound the football, they get creative with the offense, that defense starts to creep up a little, then boom, Rudolph goes over the top to either to any one of the wide receivers there, go over the top to them, get a big play. He has the arm to do it. That's what they need to do. Phillip Rivers coming in at 19. This is a tough matchup against Denver. Very limited upside for Phillip Rivers this week because Denver's very good against the pass, but has been very poor against running backs. So I fully believe we're going to see a lot of Austin Eckler, a lot of Melvin Gordon this week. To wrap it up, Jimmy Garoppolo at 20. He's been a little inconsistent to start the year, and he's going to have Myles Garrett all over him in this game, so his upside could be limited. However, the Browns defense is banged up, and this is a guy that's continued to get better every single week. He's coming off a bye week, and he has the extra day this week. A lot of potential for him. I'm just a little worried about some of that upside, but he could be a safe play this week. All right, let's transition over to tight ends now. Same thing. Let's roll through these. The top 20, Travis Kelce at number 1. The Colts are giving up the 3rd most points per game to opposing tight ends. Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the league. He gets a great matchup this week. George Kittle, the breakout game is coming, and it could be this week. He leads his team in targets, receptions, and yards. Again, that Cleveland defense is banged up this week. Evan Ingram still the tight end 1, even after having a down week last week. They get Golden Tate back. I think that actually could help Ingram a little bit. Golden Tate working out of the slot, running some of those routes over the middle of the field. Evan Ingram can sneak behind some of those defenders, really stretch the field, have some big plays this week. Zach Ertz coming in at number 4. The Jets have been one of the best teams against tight ends this year. However, they haven't really faced a top tight end yet. I think Ertz can be the guy to really break it open this year against them. Mark Andrews coming at number 5. He is the number 1 weapon for Lamar Jackson. He has touchdown upside every single game. I keep getting a lot of questions. Do I start Mark Andrews? Do I start Mark? Yes. Mark Andrews is the guy that we are putting in our lineup every single week moving forward, unless you have one of the guys listed above. Darren Waller right now is the tight end 6 based on volume alone. He does not have a touchdown yet. Wait until that volume comes and the TDs come with it. Then it's really going to start getting crazy for Darren Waller this season. Eric Ebron, Kansas City is giving up 16 points per game to opposing tight end. There's no Devin Funchess. There's no Campbell. Hilton, is he going to be limited in any way, shape, or form? Ebron has a ton of touchdown upside to hopefully go with some volume this week. Austin Hooper, Ryan continues to look his way. He's second on the team in targets. Keep him in your lineup. Tyler Eifert, the Cards are giving up the most points per game to tight ends. Everybody has crushed them so far with the tight end position. Eifert has the most touchdown upside. So I definitely believe that Eifert is going to have the upside over CJ. Who's your mama? Darren Knox coming in at number 10. Dawson Knox coming in at number 10. 125 yards over the last couple of games. Tennessee is giving up just over 15 points per game to opposing tight ends. Number 11 is going to be Jack Doyle. Basically the same thing as Eric Ebron, except I think Jack Doyle could see a little bit more volume this week. Eric Ebron could end up seeing the touchdown. But both of these guys, I think, can be started in your lineups and give you enough points to get you a fantasy win this week. Delaney Walker coming in, Greg Olsen coming in at number 12. Now I'm starting to skip people. I apologize. Jags are holding tight ends to 12 points per game. Expect to see a little more from the wide receivers and CMC this week instead of Greg Olsen. Delaney Walker is getting a tough matchup this week against Buffalo. However, Mariota will need to continue to look his way, get the ball out quick. He's still the number one target there for Marcus Mariota. Jared Cook coming in at number 14. This is the last chance. It's a great matchup. I know I said last week that was the last chance. This will be the last chance. If he can't deliver this week, I'm done with Jared Cook moving forward. Jimmy Graham has been so up and down this year. He's been inconsistent. It's hard to rely on him. He's going to be outside the top 12 tight ends for me this week. OJ Howard is out-snapping Cameron Brate 57.7% to 27%, but only has 2 more targets. That's an issue. I'm still going to have him here, but him and Brate could basically be right next to each other depending on what happens this week. Jason Witten, the Packers are holding tight ends to under 10 points per game. He has some touchdown upside, but that's about it this week. Noah Fant, really want to see him break out really soon. The Los Angeles Chargers are giving up more than 13 points per game, so could this be the week? Keep our fingers crossed. He's a great talent. Let's see if he can get in there and get rolling soon. Trey Burton continues to make this list. I think this week with having the backup quarterback in there, maybe Burton could be looked at a little bit more, but I'm not giving him a ton of upside. And then I'm going to throw Ricky Seals-Jones in there because you all know Ricky Seals-Jones is my boy. If you watch the Waiver Wire show, you know exactly how I feel about him. So I'm going to continue to roll him out there. Here we go. It's over with. We got it all in. All the rankings, all the start and sit, everything is done for the week. The only thing left to do is the live show Saturday night, 9 Eastern. Make sure that you show up right here on the Fantasy Headliners YouTube. Might have a little bit of surprise in store this week. I don't know. We'll see. Keep that in mind, though. Make sure you tune in, get all your start and sit questions answered, and just sit back, kick back, and have a good time with us. Make sure you do a couple of things before you exit out of the video. Number one, if you've never subscribed to Headliner Nation, do it now. Become a part of Headliner Nation and hit that little notification bell next to that. So every time we go live or every time we have a video, you're going to know about it right away. You can jump in, catch all the information. Number two, if you enjoyed the content and you appreciated the content, hit that like button for me. And number three, comment below if you would like to. Thanks so much, Headliner Nation. Good luck in week 5. We'll see you on the live show. Have a good one, everybody.